everybody. Welcome to Alexa Developer Office Hours. Thanks for being here today. We took a couple weeks off while we were upgrading our streaming setup. But it was really nice to see you all coming back and seeing the show once again. I don't have any announcements yet today. I'm just going to go ahead and bring on our guests. We have Hannah and Ayumu joining us today from our DAG team. So welcome to Alexa Developer Office Hours. Thank you for joining us. So today we're here to talk about your work on Stack Overflow, which is a new initiative for the DAG team. And I'd like to start by having you both introduce yourself. You've been on the show before. If you haven't been on the show before, I think you've both been on the show before, right? Not his first time? It's your first time, Hannah? You're
It
looking for
is.
the okay. Well, welcome to the show. Sometimes people have been on when Jeff was the host, and I'm like, oh, you've already been on the show, but it's your first time on the show, so welcome. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, and tell me what you do at Amazon.
Sure. Well, I've been on the show before, but behind the scenes. So I work with Alexa DAG, the developer advocacy team. I work on the biz side of things. So I work with developers who have questions about certification, account issues, troubleshooting like NLU issues, if Alexa's misinterpreting their invocation name, all that kind of stuff. So I work on the business side of things rather than the tech side of things. Doing developer support and then advocating for you with the rest of Amazon.
And Yumi, could you do your self intro?
Yeah. I'm also from DAG. So basically Hannah's coworker, but tech side. So I'll usually take care of like account linking or some kind of like a weird bugs or like complicated stuff.
And today, what we're here to talk about is the new initiative that everybody at DAG is working on, which is the Stack Overflow outreach. So I'd like to just start by talking a little bit about what Stack Overflow is. I think all of the developers are familiar with it, but just to kind of give us a grounding in the conversation and why we chose to be on Stack Overflow. Mm-hmm. And I think that was an Ayumu question because you're the one that uses it more often.
Yeah. So, like probably every developer already knows what the Stack Overflow is, but so basically like a public forum that like people can ask questions about basically anything about the technology stuff, and everyone can answer or like questioning the the question to get the more details to help each other. So it's really good community. And yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what's the AWS Collective on Stack Overflow?
Yeah, so the AWS Collective is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a collective. It's one localized place where you can find all of the tags associated with AWS. Alexa has joined the AWS Collective, so now there are something like somewhere between 10 and 15 Alexa-specific tags also associated with the AWS Collective, so you can go and join the collective and follow all of the Alexa tags so that when somebody asks a question regarding a specific topic that you're interested in, you get notified. You can follow the specific tag or just join the collective, whatever works better for you as in your goals.
Should I go ahead and post those tags in the chat? You gave me a link earlier of the active tags. So what does it mean to have a tag? I know this is maybe very basic question, but let's go ahead and go through it because that way we have the grounding. And what are those tags that we're using?
Yeah, so basically anytime you ask a question, you can identify the specific topic or what you're asking a question about by marking it with a tag. So if you're asking a question about account linking, for example, you can add Alexa account linking as a tag to your question so that anybody looking for help with account linking will find your tag listed as one of those questions. It helps with searchability. It helps with people trying to find questions to answer. A lot of the time, like a master in a specific topic might be looking at a specific tag and answering those questions to build a portfolio and work on, that kind of thing. So it really, it's a form of organization, but it's good for the person posting it and it's good for people who are answering it.
So it's kind of a way to boost your credibility in a particular situation, right? So say you post under the Alexa Skills Kit tag, and that's a tag you post under a lot. People start to know you as an expert in the Alexa Skills Kit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another big reason why we decided to create a community on, or join the community on Stack Overflow, is because a lot of developers use Stack Overflow for themselves personally to build portfolios and reputations and all of that. And we wanted to really help kind of facilitate that. We love that. It's, a very nice way to engage the community that's beneficial for the community, rather than being very like inside Amazon.
Right. So
Yeah,
you
some
kind of
people.
just answered. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Some people might know, but like there's like a reputation point. Then like if you answer the questions and like someone like upvote or something, that you can get like a point. So like it's kind of like gaming stuff as well. So it's really fun to join the community.
So it gamifies your interaction with
Yeah.
code and FK. Yeah. So I was about to say you got into a little bit, but I think one of the biggest questions that I had, and I think what our audience is going to have, is like, why did Alexa decide to add the support channel now? What was the thought process that went into doing the Stack Overflow outreach, and like why are we doing it?
Yeah, well, like you said, a lot of it is what I already explained. It's beneficial for developers personally. You can build your reputation, kind of build like a personal brand, by answering a specific thread of questions, and engaging with the community that way. But also, like, I think it's 82% of active developers are already on Stack Overflow, and we just didn't have a presence there, which seemed like a big miss on our part. The community is already there, and so our goal by joining Stack Overflow is to go where the developers already are, rather than asking you guys to come to us. So that was a big part of the motivation to join Stack Overflow.
And what sort of questions are our developers asking? What can they ask, and what kind of questions have you seen so far, if any?
Mm-hmm. Ayuma?
So most of them, like we mentioned, but like a tech question, like, hey, I can't, the successfully done account linking, or like, I just got the new one, which is how to retrieve the user's utterance or something.
Mm-hmm.
And but also the developers can ask more like certification question as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they put a certain tag, and then we can notice them, we can handle those questions as well. So like feel free to like probably any question related to Alexa development. Um, yeah.
So in the past, we've been plugging the Slack a lot as a place to ask questions. But the downside of the Slack is we have the regular Slack plan, which doesn't keep the answers forever. They disappear after, I think it's 90 days. So one of the things about Stack Overflow that's really useful is if you do a search on Stack Overflow, you get question and answers from as far back as 10 years ago. As long as Stack Overflow's been around, I don't know exactly when the website started, but you can get some pretty old answers because they stay on the website. So that's like a nice feature for people who might have the same question. They might just say, "Oh, this is a duplicate of this question," and link directly to that, as opposed to asking the same question over and over again, having to give the same answer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also it's a nice kind of repository. If you have a question, and instead of asking a new one every time, you can search and see if people have already asked it. And then, whatever thread might be there of answers and follow-ups and all of that. So yeah, like you said, one of the best pros to being on Stack Overflow, if not the best pro, is the searchability and the search functionality. Yeah.
Are there other things that developers would be excited about with this launch?
I mean, like you said, it's a really good repository. Everything is localized in one spot, so it's easy to kind of find and monitor. You can build your personal brand, and portfolio, all of that. But the other really nice thing about Stack Overflow is that because the community can answer questions as well, it's no longer your answer isn't bound to Alexa work hours. So you could get an answer a lot faster than some traditional streams right now that we have for support channels. And there's less like waiting time and dependency there.
So we've got some folks watching now that I'm sure are more knowledgeable about Alexa than the average Stack Overflow poster. How do they get involved? How could they be the one to post and answer the questions? Can they be looped into the collective?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can join the collective and anybody can answer questions. Amazon doesn't moderate at all, even though the collective is Amazon's, AWS and Alexa. Stack Overflow still moderates the collective, so it's totally community. We don't control what people are posting and answering as far as that goes. So whoever, if somebody asks a question and you know the answer to that question, you can absolutely go ahead and reply to the question and answer it.
Great. So in that way, it's a lot like our Slack community, because our Slack community people are really good about answering each other's questions, but it's got more of an archival feel.
Yeah.
Totally.
Totally.
And then people can upvote each other's answers as well, so you can see what you think the best answer is going to be.
Yep.
So
yeah, and you can even search for answers that have been recommended and upvoted, and you can sort that way as well.
Is there a formal process for joining the collective?
There's no formal process at all. There's just, you go to the master, the overview page of the AWS Collective at the link that you just posted. And there's a button on the right side that says join collective, and you can just join it. That's it. You just click the button.
Nice. Hopefully we're going to get our intro reel eventually updated with that link as well, because I think I want people to check out the Stack Overflow Collective. Now that we've got it up and running and launched, it's going to be an exciting place for people to sort of join and chat with the community. So if I'm posting on Stack Overflow and I get an answer from a developer, how do I know if that developer is from Alexa or from Amazon, or versus just some random community person?
Mm-hmm. Well, Amazon employees will have a specific badge that will show that they're an Amazon employee, versus other people won't have the badge. And it'll be at the bottom of the question or the answer.
How many people from DAG do you have currently running with that badge?
5?
Yeah, I think 5. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a pretty good amount. How much of your day is it gonna take now skipping through Stack Overflow? Is it? I know it's a new process for y'all.
It's pretty new, but it depends on you guys. Ask us questions, keep us busy.
Yeah, exactly.
So what about contact us? I know we talk a lot about that particular method of getting help and feedback. That's not going away. We still have that contact us if you want direct personal feedback about whatever your question was.
Yeah, well, and a lot of the time, certain issues involve digging into different account problems, or more behind the scenes kind of investigation that wouldn't necessarily be appropriate for a public forum. And in those cases, we definitely recommend contact us, and we might ask you on your question to reach out to us on contact us so that we can thoroughly investigate and really get to the root of the problem.
So Stack Overflow questions are maybe better for questions that are more general?
I would say yes. Yeah. So if you need to provide more details information, I wouldn't recommend posting, the password, obviously password, or informations on the the public forum.
API
So
keys or something.
yeah,
You don't want to post those on Stack Overflow.
exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So those questions should go to the contact us directly.
How do we feel about getting an Alexa champion badge on Stack Overflow? That's not a bad idea. We should look into that.
It's a great idea, and we are looking into that. We're going to poke around and see what we can do as far as that goes. Yeah.
That sounds great. In the meantime, join the collective for sure,
Mm-hmm.
so that you're
Yeah.
on the list.
Yeah, and you can start answering questions already and build some, reputation. And I'm sure you already have reputation, but add to it, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did a little research and discovered that developers still use Stack Overflow a lot to get their answers for questions, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. We wouldn't have pushed to join if it weren't a thriving, active community.
So how long does it take between when I post a question and when I might get an answer? I know the community might answer, but typically, how fast do you think it'll be?
It really depends, but probably a worst case scenario within 2 business days, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the slowest possible way.
Yeah. Slowest possible would be if you posted on a Friday late in the day or something, and over the weekend, nobody from Amazon's working, and if nobody in the community cares about you or wants to answer your question, you have to wait until Monday. But we care about you and we'll answer. I think somebody else would answer in the meantime, but that's the worst case scenario.
As soon as you get back to work, back in working hours. checking
Yep.
it out.
Yep. Well, and then we've got people in the EU and we've got people in the US. So we have a couple of different, time zones that we cover. But it's not 24 hours.
So Brian Tarbox saying going to Stack Overflow and searching for Alexa says 0 questions. Do we need to search under the specific tags, or are we just not? We just started and we don't have any questions yet.
That's a good question.
Yeah, because there's definitely questions. All the tags that we added to the collective were already, not all of them, but almost all of them were already existing tags. With some of them have thousands of questions associated. So I don't know that you need to search for the specific tag. But I think Ayuma is testing it right now.
Yep.
Yeah. What are those tags? It's Alexa Skills Kit.
Let me pull it up.
The full list.
Yeah, because like I said, there's somewhere between like 10 and 15 of them. But all of them were based off of existing questions. So let's see.
These are already tags people were already using, right? We just sort of decided to make those part of the ones we searched.
Yeah, a lot of them. So there's Alexa Skills Kit, Alexa Interaction Model, Alexa SMAPI, Alexa Flash Briefing Skill, Alexa Account Linking, Alexa Presentation Language, Alexa SDK Node.js, Alexa SDK Python, and Alexa Smart Home Skill.
Oh, good. That's a good variety of stuff. I'm really excited to see. I'm curious to see how well the Python posting does. I think that one of the things that I always say as a Python developer is that a lot of our documentation in Python, there's a little bit less of it. So it'll be nice to see what questions people post, and if there's a lot of questions already on Stack Overflow about that, maybe people are still trying to figure it out. I'm going to search myself.
Yeah. Well, Python is actually one of the ones that we added new that didn't exist before. So you'll probably only find one associated question that we created so that we could post the tag.
Got it. And that's just to get the tag rolling.
Yep,
so
exactly.
So was it Alexa Skills Kit was like kind of the most common one being used?
Yeah, Alexa Skills Kit's a really big one. We actually merged a couple of different tags into Alexa Skills Kit so that it was better organized. So that one will be really lots of stuff on it.
Yeah. If you are not sure, you should use that tag.
Yeah. Stack Overflow checked to make sure I was not a robot before making that search. But yeah, there's quite a few questions under Alexa Skills Kit already. And some of them as old as 2016. So they go back a ways, which is, like I said, like one of the advantages of Stack Overflow.
Yeah.
I guess a question that I have with that, though, is like, when I search Alexa Skills Kit, I do get really old answers. So how do you make sure that the answers that your people are looking for are up to date? Is there a way to do that?
I'm not sure.
Kind of, sort
of. Yeah. So again, like you can sort the questions by like most. You can sort them by date. You can sort them by like you the answers. Sort by
newest.
Yeah, upvoted, all that kind of stuff. But the Stack Overflow moderates the collective. So if there's something that people are commenting on, like that this is no longer relevant, something like that. Might be one way that we could monitor it, but definitely monitoring is something that we're going to have to look into.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah, all you do is, the easiest way to do it, I think, is just search by newest, and then eventually, right away, I see stuff like launch request for Alexa Skills. Probably a pretty common question.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. I would recommend sorting by newest just so that you get the most up-to-date details, and everything's changing all the time, so you never really know.
I'm seeing some people in chat saying Twitch served ads, which it shouldn't, because I thought I turned that function off, but my apologies if you did just get ads. I thought I turned off ads, but it's Twitch ad management can be a little wonky. But if you're just joining us from an ad break, I'm sorry, but welcome back. And I'll check that setting after the chat and see if it changed. We upgraded our streaming software just this last week, which is one of the reasons I wasn't on. So I don't know if that changed anything with our Twitch connection or something like that. Hello to YouTube. Y'all aren't seeing ads, so I'm just talking to the folks that maybe I got stuck in there. Okay, now to get back on topic, I just wanted to address the chat, folks, because I know where some people were like, wait, why is that happening? I don't know. We got to change. I know y'all posted some articles recently about the collective. Do we have a blog post to share out?
We do have a blog post. Let me pull up the link. Man, I have to find it.
Okay, I can talk a little bit about the
Yeah,
searching.
totally.
I searched Alexa under Collective AWS, and
Hmm.
I found 5,000 results. So
Yeah, I found quite a few results, so it definitely comes up. There's actually tons and tons. In fact, just looking at this, the first thought I have is like, not necessarily how are you going to keep up with all this, but more like, are you going to go back and look at questions that have been on there for a little while, like, and see if there's anything you can do to help? So, are you going to skim through all these thousands of results? Are you really going to make that effort to post all
we
on
try.
old? Or yeah, you're going to try.
Yeah, we try. Yeah, especially like if your question get like more upvoted like recently, and like we assume like people still have the same issue, then we will deal with them.
Yeah, I think a lot of the questions that I'm looking at now, there's a lot of questions about intents and, is it finding my intent? Is it finding uh, my activation phrases and all that stuff? Mostly, and it's like several different ones that are like intent based, or maybe certification questions. I imagine you're going to get quite a few of those.
Oh yeah, always.
Now I'm already distracted, like reading the Stack Overflow questions because I want to see what people are asking about and everything. Do you
Hmm.
anticipate that you'll get a lot of sort of similar questions, like sort of refer to this other question kind of posts?
Um, in the Stack Overflow, I don't see that many.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess moderators are like working for like probably removing the duplicates questions or something. So I don't see that very often.
Yeah, that's true. Stack Overflow also has its own moderation team, right? So people will kind of skim through and make sure questions are appropriate and on topic and all that.
Yep.
How do you find it as a community? I know you probably posted there in the past.
A community? Can you say that
Yeah,
again?
like as a community, pretty active, so people doing a lot of posting and.
It it's hard to say, but at some point like, it was active. Like
Mm-hmm.
many people actually got questions and then answer on the Stack Overflow. But since probably like we kind of stopped the answering questions, and like people ask less questions, and yeah.
So we
I
think that maybe now that we're officially there, people
and
know
then
that that's a good place they can reach out. We're trying to
mhm,
make sure people know that they can post there.
yeah.
Yep.
Because the Slack is pretty active, but like I said, it doesn't save a record for long periods. So try to drive everybody to the Stack Overflow and make sure people know to post there.
Yeah.
So if I want to help out answering questions, what's the best approach to find Alexa questions on Stack Overflow? Great question. Somebody has
First,
some sound in their background too. I don't know.
Mhm.
oh, hold on. That's my Alexa answered me when I said
Oh,
Alexa a bunch of times in a row.
that's why I always mute mine before the show, but I know.
Yeah, I thought I had all the wake words changed, but I must have not. I mean, there's like 3 devices in here, so I missed
Right.
one.
I've got the Office device over there. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
Sorry.
But to find Alexa questions, hopefully that didn't wake her up. I would recommend for obviously joining the collective, but then you can also follow the specific tags if you want to really like double down and monitor it that way. Ayumu, do you have any other like advice?
No, clicking tag is the best way because we already post the certain tags that we follow. So like you should just click the tags on the AWS Collective, and then you should get like particular Alexa questions. So, and
Did
I'm
you post?
hoping. Sorry, I'm
Did you
hoping.
post those tags in the blog as well?
They're not in the blog, but if you go to the AWS Collective, there's a bulletin there, and they're all listed out in the bulletin.
Okay. Sorry to cut you off there.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm hoping Andy will be like really active on the Stack Overflow as well.
Yeah, Andy, we're looking forward to seeing you posting there because we always know you have great answers to everybody's questions. We'd love
Yeah.
to get you that champion badge at some point so you can post answers. Um, yeah, I think searching for these specific tags, is particularly Alexa Skills Kit, has a lot of results. So definitely just search for that first. And if you're like, oh, I want to help out with smart home, you can search directly for Alexa
Yep.
smart home skill, and that comes right up. It has somewhat less results. I think Alexa Skills Kit is the one that has the most, but that still has a good 200 results, some of which are pretty new. So, I see there's a lot of activity, people posting account linking. Yep. I'm so curious now to know what people are posting. It's really cool to see that activity happening and that y'all are responding to some of these questions.
Yeah, definitely. And again, to address the comment, there's a lot of AWS stuff in the collective. It is the AWS Collective, and AWS is a lot bigger as an organization than Alexa. And so a lot of the questions there are going to be about AWS. But again, the specific Alexa tags you'll be able to find, they're all in there, and that's where the questions will be.
Right. So if you search Alexa interaction model, you'll see the questions immediately that are related to the Alexa.
Yeah, and you can follow the specific tag too. Like if you're somebody who specializes or like knows a lot about Alexa interaction models, you can follow that tag and then answer questions or ask questions or whatever it is very specifically within that kind of area.
Great. Well, it seems pretty straightforward. I'm glad that we have a good community working out there and that people are interested and getting excited about posting on Stack Overflow. What's next for that team? What are y'all going to be moving toward next? Anything you can talk about?
We've got things that we're working on, but nothing that we can really talk about right now. Nothing that we can share yet. Stack Overflow is like the newest support channel, and so we'll be active there. We're looking forward to chatting with you guys on there. But other than that, that's where we're at right now.
It's super new too. It's kind of an experiment, I think, for our team to be on there because this is something that they haven't done before.
Yep.
And that we're really excited to just give a spin and see how it goes. Are you attempting to sunset the Slack community? Nope, Slack community is not going away. We love the Slack community. I love the Slack community. I'm always going to be on the Slack community. And I encourage people who haven't joined the Slack community to join the Slack community because that's a great place to chit chat about what you're working on. And also a lot of Amazonians are on that community as well, more than I think are watching the Stack Overflow. So we still have plenty of people watching the Slack. We just think that there maybe as for deeper technical questions, it's not necessarily the best place to post because then we get a lot of, sometimes I have a lot of questions where could you direct that person to the documentation because, they're posting the same question somebody posted 2 months ago and they don't know that because they're new to the community. So you kind of get a little bit of churn there. But one of the things that I love about the Slack community is it isn't just technical questions. It's also beta, questions and testing and just design chat that maybe doesn't necessarily fit on Slack Overflow. Yeah, exactly. It's great. It's real time and you can have that back and forth experience. So we're still committed to Slack and we're still using the Slack to talk to developers. So that's not going away. It's not going anywhere. This is just an addition.
Yes.
To our outreach programs, really. This is like a new thing that we're doing where we just think we're going to reach more developers that we haven't reached before.
Yeah, that is like trying to expand our channels to get more, the information or questions from developers. So if you have any suggestions, please let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you have feedback about how Stack Overflow is going, you can still tell us in Slack.
Yeah, you can just create contact us and hey, this is blah blah blah. That's totally fine. We'll be there. So
since we know that Slack Overflow posts are very moderated, so you can only post on topic there. You can't necessarily post things like please try out my beta or whatever.
Right.
But it's probably the best place for a coder to get advice from other coders if it's like a code related question. Of course, sometimes I go down the rabbit hole of other Stack Overflow related sites, like their various other Q&A sites, because they have a bunch of adjacent related ones.
Yeah,
make it pretty fun.
Yeah. Stack Overflow also has a section where you can post articles and things. Just to get ahead of that, we won't be posting any articles. The tech docs are still going to be where you want to go for those more in-depth documentations. But it is a feature of Stack Overflow that a lot of companies take advantage of, but we will not.
So our blogs will still be posted on the official Alexa blogs. Don't worry about us using that as a secondary source of posting.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to look there for like more information about certain things or new launches or details on whatever it is. That's all going to be like Alexa blog and tech docs.
Oh, we got another question in the chat. Where and how can I find the community? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post it up on the screen so that you can see it right there. There you go. So if you happen to be watching on a channel that doesn't get comments, there's where you go. stackoverflow.com collectives/AWS. And that's how you get attached to the Stack Overflow. If you're curious about the Slack, I've got a banner for that too. That's just alexa.design/Slack. And maybe what we'll do too is make a alexa.design/Stack Overflow later. So it's an even quicker thing to link to.
Great.
And if you ever want to watch our blogs, we've got that too. Since I said our blogs are not going to show up on Stack Overflow, they're going to be on the blogs where they normally are. But this is the Stack Overflow Collective. Not too complicated of a URL to remember. It's the AWS Collective. So Alexa's just part of it. So you will see, like we said, a lot of questions about AWS there. But if you search under the Alexa specific tags, then check out that blog article. I showed the blogs earlier. It's going to link you to the collective, and then on the collective with the announcement, you're going to see new tags. And I think there was actually a blog post on Stack Overflow as well, just to share the deal with Alexa's development. AWS joins collective, so we've been added to that. We've been added to that collective. Very, very cool. And when I click on the AWS collective, I definitely see a lot of Amazon Web Services type questions. But if you scroll down to the tags, you can also see the ones that we just added, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And I think all of our tags, if not all, but almost all, start with Alexa. And so you can also sort the tags alphabetically, and you can kind of like search for them that way. But they're all specifically listed out in the bulletin on AWS on the collective. So that's probably the easiest way to find them. And then if there's specific ones that you're interested in, I really recommend following the specific tags because otherwise you have to go find it each time.
Very cool. Yeah, I actually do see a real question with Python. It's an older question, so I don't think you just added that for the sake of adding it, unless you added the tag post. But it seems like the Alexa Skills Kit, the Alexa Skills Kit tag is the one that's used the most often. So if you're not sure like how to find Alexa questions, start there. That's the one to check out, and then the rest of them I think have quite a few questions as well. But it kind of depends on the tag, right? Interaction Model has quite a few questions too.
Yeah, Smart Home probably has a lot also. But one of the reasons we renamed them is because like other companies like Google, people will ask questions and tag it with like Smart Home Skill, even though Alexa's the only one who uses skills. It's an Alexa specific term. So we worked ahead of the launch to filter out unrelated questions or irrelevant questions by using the tags with the specific naming conventions that we did.
So all the tags, that way it's universal, and all the tags say Alexa first.
Yep.
And then they say Smart Home Skill is the rest of the tag.
Yeah.
That helps to make it more unified.
Yeah, and the kind of a funny one was there's an Alexa service that's like a web search functionality, and it's not related to the voice assistant. So we had to filter that out, and that's why we have Alexa Skills Kit specifically, and there's not just an Alexa tag.
Oh, that makes sense. What was the process of deciding which tags to use?
We looked at questions that have been asked before, and we went through like which ones had, more than a certain number of questions asked, which ones were really still relevant, which ones needed to be updated and changed so that there weren't like unrelated questions associated with the tag, and then, refined it and came with our list. Obviously, the list had to be approved, and any changes had to be approved by the Slack moderators as well. So it wasn't just like it's not just Amazon or Alexa doing whatever we want. It's moderated by the community as well. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. So like if our community gets like more involved, and like you might have power to do so.
Oh, true. if you're out there posting on Stack Overflow, you're actually one of the moderators. You mean not one of the moderators, you're one of the decision makers on Stack Overflow once you post enough. And especially if you have a reputation on there, they have a whole method of like how to vote for things, and it's a whole universe.
Yep.
Did you have to go over any hurdles? Was there any like challenges with getting these tags posted up?
Not so many challenges as much as like a little bit of healthy debate. Like for example, again with the smart home skill one, the moderators didn't want to delete certain tags because it was associated with different smart home apps,
Right.
but they're not skills, and so it was explaining that and agreeing somewhere in the middle or on one side or the other. So that one, and then the Alexa Skills Kit tag, because it's so broad and there's so many questions. That one, there was a little bit of debate with trying to figure out like what the best way forward would be, and with the Alexa web search questions, how to separate them. So this is where we landed.
Do they go back and edit the old posts to make the tags line up with the selected tags?
You can, yeah. So the moderators can add or delete certain tags, but everything is like community filtered, for lack of a better phrase. Yeah.
I think you also can ask like remove tags, but like the community has to approve. But like if you think this is irrelevant, and then like you can ask the moderator to check it as well.
I see. So they basically the community you can decide how to tag your post, but if the community decides to put it under a different tag to make sure it lines up with existing tags, it makes it easier for it to search.
Yeah. Well, and that's another because there's like 5 DAG team members who are working on Stack Overflow. And there's thousands and thousands of questions, and so the moderators, that team is owned by Stack Overflow, that team goes through all of the questions also and make sure like they're relevant and they make sense for the space and they make sense for the tags and all that.
So it's definitely a very specific place to go get the specific questions answered. And if it's something a lot more general, maybe come to the Slack and post it, or post that elsewhere. But if you're specifically looking for code help that the community can help you with, that doesn't use any proprietary data, you're comfortable posting it on a forum, and that's a pretty common case. Like a lot of times it's just a simple question of like, why doesn't this work? Or you can scratch out your API key. I know that I've gone on there just looking for people's old answers to things if I don't have a particular, put API key in parentheses and say like, why doesn't this work if I have an active key or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's always ways to post.
I think Stack Overflow is a really good place to ask questions like integrating 3P tools as well. We cannot answer those questions, but like someone might be using the same structure or something. So you might get like really specific the problems, the answer for the specific problems.
Yeah. Troubleshooting and like implementation are good questions.
Yeah. And especially, I know a lot of developers out there are trying to integrate things that haven't been integrated together before. So that's a good place to ask for sure. Question from Soundmaster AJ. Oh, about ISP. If you have a question about ISP, hold those questions for when we do our next ISP session, which is going to be next month. We're going to have another chat with Sid from InScale Purchasing, and we're going to have an InScale Purchasing session. So if you've got InScale Purchasing questions, he's the person to ask. We're definitely going to talk about that again. It's always a hot topic for everyone. I don't know that this team has anything to say about any changes to ISP coming out. So
yeah, we don't have insight, unfortunately.
But I know who does, and he'll be on the show in a few weeks. So keep that question, hold on to it, and we'll ask him for sure, because I know it's a hot topic for everybody. Or send a contact us, and
that's we'll dig for you.
Yeah, if you've got a specific question that doesn't feel like a Stack Overflow question though.
No, yeah, because we have to dig. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So if you've got if it's something about your specific tooling, that's a good question to ask on Contact Us. So we just know the right ways to ask the right questions. But if you've got even certification questions, right? you can put on Stack Overflow.
Yeah, as long as it's not like a really specific thing, like let's say your skill failed certification and you got some feedback, and we need to like look at something to do with your skill to see, you know, what the issue is or whether it's resolved, then we might ask you to contact us. But if it's like questions about the rules of certification or like why maybe this could have happened, certain things like that, we could help with. Anything that we don't have to do like account wise can be posted, you know, it's a public forum. So just keep that in mind and filter it that way for yourself, and whatever you think is appropriate for a public forum probably is. So
you maybe don't want to post any of like your customers' data or any personal information, but it's maybe if it's a very more general question, like if my application has this in it and my skill wants to ask this question, is it okay to ask this question, or will certification deny that for this reason?
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds good. We might be running out of chat questions, so here's another chat question. Good. I was gonna start to wrap, but I got another question. Can we get some insight into developer rewards? Some folks are still getting it, and some folks it's a black box. That's not something that I can speak to, certainly, but let's take that one offline, or even contact us potentially, and see where that's going.
Yeah, it's still going. Like we still have developer rewards, but as far as who gets how much, I would have to dig.
Yeah, we'd have to dig into the skills for that. So, other questions from the chat about what we're working on? Oh, and next week we're gonna have another Q&A, open Q&A type session, technical Q&A, right? So you was gonna join us again next week, and Wilfred as well, from the DAG team, and we're gonna do a quick Q&A for whatever your Alexa development needs are. Bring your questions if you've got them, and then coming up the next couple weeks, we're going to be doing some other technical shows that I hope everybody finds super useful. We're going to talk a little bit more about in-skill purchasing. Please keep an eye on the Slack for any updates about what we're working on, and any notifications that we post to our blogs or to our websites as well. So, any final thoughts for the community before we decide to wrap this one up?
No, I mean, I think we covered it really well. The only other thing about Stack Overflow is that if you're not involved with Alexa yet, it's a really like good place to go to like learn more about it, get exposed to it, kind of figure out, you know, how people get involved. So that's another big motivator, is to broaden the reach and the audience for the questions that are being asked. Because all the other questions are already on like the Alexa developer forums or Slack. You already have to be involved with our channels to see them. But if you're like on the AWS Collective or on Stack Overflow in general, and you're actively developing, but maybe you're not involved with Alexa yet, you can find the questions and kind of get exposed and, you know, build a little bit of an interest and some background information and ask questions to get started.
Great way to dip your toes in.
Yeah, exactly.
And into helping others as well as any question. There's no dumb questions, right? Of course, if there is a dumb question, the Stack Overflow people will downvote you to oblivion. So.
The moderators will take care of that.
Yeah. There's off-topic questions, which will get deleted. But if it's a basic question, feel free to ask it, because I'm sure somebody else has the same question out there.
Yeah. So, no. Yeah, it's great. Come chat to us, you know, get involved. We'd love to see you there. You know, we want to build a nice, thriving community, and I think we have a really good start.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today on the show. We'll see you guys next week. And we'll do another show, same time, same channel. It was terrific having everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.